absolutely. I love that question because our slogan is unlocking the financial resources. So what that encompasses is, we take a look at the main three. Those include insurance, FSA, HSA, and then employee assistant programs. So that's if you hear about things like Maven and Carrot and Modern Health, that's part of your employee assistant programs, also known as EAPs. In case I ever, throw in an acronym, that's the EAP I'm mentioning. We also make sure to take a look at if those three don't cover it, then what do your government programs include? And government as far as local, so that's county-based, that's also looking at state and federal, because they all service maternal health and provide maternal health resources, but it looks differently from each component to what scale and maybe what demographic that they're servicing. And then outside of that, if those four aren't working for you, then what not amazing nonprofits exist that specialize in maternal health care. That village word I love that it's really coming back into play, just because as much as it takes a village to raise a child, it definitely it takes one to welcome a new mom or a new parent into the space, because there's just so much that's unknown and there's so much that goes on. And it's not only just the hormonal physical component, but even the social aspect of things. It's you have new responsibilities that you didn't ever have before. And depending on what your culture is, that can be, even a more dynamic shift than you might be experiencing because of, again, the subcultural expectations that are now placed on you as a mom and as a wife or a partner, parents in general. Definitely it helps to have somebody who's familiar with not only just with the care that you might need, but be able to provide the educational component of it. What's the difference between a chiropractor and a pelvic floor therapist, and when can you access them? Because when you look at your own insurance, unless you know where to look for it, actually doesn't lay it out, even in your summary of benefits. So for instance, lactation services is not quote unquote lactation services when you look in your insurance. If you're looking for doula care, it's not doula care, or even pelvic floor therapy. It's not pelvic floor therapy. You have to kind of know where the subgroups and where they would go in to know how much it's covered. And if you see in network or out in network, what does that look like? And so that's why I provide an insurance check report that takes all that jargon away, takes all that, language away, and puts it in plain language. If you want to see a lactation network, to see somebody in-house because of ACA, it's 100% covered. If you want to go out of network, then just be sure to, you expect a $40 copay.
From your perspective, is there anything that you're particularly worried about? Something that you're kind of prepping yourself for to be ready for, should any of this actually come to fruition and really have impact?
Yes. Simple answer, yes. We are, and I've been preparing for this ever since the first Medicaid cut proposals were in place, or even talks of it. And so I recognize that within our country, healthcare and politics go hand in hand. And so I actually have a political strategist and I have a chief political advisor on my team because of how important it is to stay up to date on the policies of healthcare. With that said, we have already been seeing immediate cuts to people being released from their healthcare. And so I'm taking screenshots now on a daily of states who have been cutting individuals from their plan because they no longer qualify. And so that is having a community group visit that's focused on your prenatal care or mental health care, but it's a group visit. And then, you may, go off for a one-on-one within that period of time to work with the specialist individually. But it's a group dynamic in its sense.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Is that often literally the first thing that popped into my head? And I want to talk a little bit about how kind of MINE Maternity can show up for people. I thought of immediately federally qualified health centers that often already do a lot of community focused health events, either for immunizations for kids or, wellness checks, right? Like annuals. Is it similar? Is that like a partner, or could those be partners, or are you seeing that happen?
So as far as this, what I find that's, most relevant as far as what people are in seek of would be doula coverage. So that is for for those who are within Medicaid and work within the Medicaid scope. That's for those who have commercial insurance or private insurance. People are really starting to understand and recognize the work of doulas and as well as midwives, but doulas specifically in far as like assisting them with their birth, whether they choose to have it at home, at a birth center, or in a hospital. So it's, like I said, my number one request as far as, does my plan cover this? And if not, is there a nonprofit who can help me cover it? So that would be my answer as far as like what is a common trend that I see. And then as far as, oh my goodness, I didn't know I needed this, but I'm glad I now have, found MINE Maternity, would be actually the care coordination piece of things. And so that's where care coordination comes in, that says, okay, well, based off of your insurance plan or based off of, your financial goals of being in network or out of network, here are the other components that we can pull together so that you're really prepared for either the postpartum period or that you have the best pregnancy experience that you can have.
This has been a Shut Up production.
Shut up!